In the news this week, too close to call, Coalition and Labour's historic neck-to-neck election battle.
Plus, taxi drivers feeling betrayed by the government's plan to reform the transport industry.
And on Western Perspective, calling it a day, retiring Deputy Premier and Health Minister Kim Hames opens up about the state government, Elizabeth Key and life after politics.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Lung and Daniel Staniscov.
Good evening. It's the election results both Labour and the Coalition have hated to see. The numbers are too close to call after one of the closest federal elections in a generation. In WA, the marginal seats of Cowan and Perth have been the main focus as Malcolm Turnbull scrambled for support to secure a minority government.
It was a result least expected.
We will not know the outcome of this election tonight.
Neither the Coalition nor Labour reaching 76 seats to form a majority government. With a hung parliament likely, Labour leader Bill Shorten seized the knife-edge moment and claimed the party was back after years of controversy.
In the past 3 years, we have united as a party. In the past 8 weeks, we have run a magnificent campaign.
But Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull arrived to his supporters to defend his title after a campaign expecting him to be victorious.
I can report that based on the advice I have from the party officials, we can have every confidence that we will form a coalition majority government.
Both sides standing firm that neither had a chance. In WA, voting started early, with Labour and the Liberals confident as West Australians headed to the polls.
Quite confident Malcolm Turnbull will be Prime Minister.
Bill Shorten's done a fantastic job throughout this campaign.
And they didn't disappoint in WA's crucial electorates, the Coalition's Julie Bishop retaining Curtin, Liberals' Ben Morton securing Tangney, and Labour's Jim Hammond succeeding retiring Alana McTiernan in Perth.
I'm just so honoured to have the support of the people at Tangney. For them to put their faith in me is an amazing honour, and I will repay that by working hard for them every single day.
Incredibly honoured and humbled to follow such a long line of amazing, impressive and formidable Labor predecessors.
But nationally, the country waits as counting resumes and negotiations with minor parties begin. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
In other news, the taxi industry has welcomed the government's backflip over compensation and assistance offered to cab drivers. The Transport Minister has finally acknowledged the drivers have been seriously affected by plans for deregulation due to ride-sharing apps such as Uber.
After a much-heated debate about the license disputes on taxis and Uber drivers, the Barnett government has finally acknowledged the efforts of the reform.
We know that there are challenges being faced by the industry, and I've had the challenge of trying to work through and identify what is a fair and practical approach to take.
Some taxi drivers paid almost $200,000 on conventional taxi plates in the past few years. For the cab owners, the damage has already been done and it's hard to make ends meet.
If I've given the government that much money, they should protect me. I should be protected first because they're regulating me. I'm abiding by it, I pay my fees, and all of a sudden they just stab you with the biggest knife they can get.
The Transport Workers Union and State Labour Party are now demanding better assistance packages.
It's too little too late. We've been calling for some certainty and some proper support for people who invested in the taxi industry for a long period of time, and we want to see some detail of what the government's going to do.
The Transport Minister has ruled out an increase in compensation. Marianne Candelara, WAMN News.
Police are calling for assistance over the suspicious death of a 25-year-old woman in Willetton last Friday night. Lorraine Jane Hanson was discovered at 12:15 a.m. with life-threatening injuries after visiting friends and was taken to Fiona Stanley Hospital where she died a short time later.
Lorraine was wearing a light blue-coloured jumper with pink writing, a dark-coloured tracksuit and black sneakers. We're also seeking the assistance of anyone who had dash cam cameras in the area. They can call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
After years of discussion, the WA's capital city has finally been recognised after the City of Perth Act came into full effect this week. The Act has been enforced after years of debate following a failed local government merger reform back in 2013. The legislation will expand the CBD City Council's boundary, including major landmarks such as the University of Western Australia and Princess Margaret Hospital.
We had tried many times in the past couple of decades to realise this capital city legislation population that, as you say, is in every other major capital city. So it's a catch-up, but hopefully we can make up for lost time by being empowered with it.
Former London Mayor Boris Johnson says he will not be contesting UK Prime Minister and Conservative Party leader. Mr Johnson passionately advocated Brexit before last week's referendum, resulting in almost 52% of citizens voting yes. Meanwhile, Interior Minister Theresa May has announced that she'll be running as a candidate in the Conservative Leadership Challenge. Mr Johnson believes Brexit will restore UK's independence and sovereignty.
The Taliban has claimed responsibility for a bus bombing that killed 30 police cadets. President Ashraf Ghani has labelled the attack as a crime against humanity. It's understood most of the officers killed are new to the force and lost their lives after 2 attackers triggered bombs in a vehicle and on foot. The attacks come just 1 week after 14 Nepali security guards were killed as they were heading towards the Canadian embassy for work.
And finally, this week we've all tasted democracy sausage, but how about democracy sandwich? A group of parents have decided to raise funds for the kindergarten by hosting a small store outside the Cottesloe Civic Centre during the voting campaign.
I think it's a good little twist to have the community getting involved, and this is supporting the local community, Seaview Community Kindergarten, so getting them involved in I guess, voting and the democratic system.
And those are the top stories you need to know this week. Thank you for joining us. We have the latest news on our website and Facebook.
Nelson Lewis up next with Western Perspective. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, Ivan and Danielle. Hello and welcome to Western Perspective. I'm Nelson Liu.